Cancelled.
Schweezy.
Because apparently, I watched a little movie, A24. I don't think I've watched a lot of A24 films. I've watched 2 in the recent week. I've watched The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I believe that's the name, with Nicolas Cage. Most people just call it the Nicolas Cage movie. And I think the long title is, like, supposed to be part of the goofiness that is that movie. But I watched that, and I think it's an A24 film, as I saw. But I'm not going to talk about that. I could talk about it. And if you want me to, I'll talk about it next week. I did watch it. But I also watched The Whale, another A24. A24, like, I think they're coming up. But, like, I don't know where to, like, stream that shit. If you know what I'm saying? The menu, that was not A24, I don't think. But, like, A24, they're, I haven't watched any of the other stuff. I remember X, and it was, like, Jenna Ortega, Mia Goth, Brittany Snow. They're, like, porn stars. I'm like, that's on my list, okay? You're like, that's exactly what movie you need to watch. I'm like, Jenna Ortega still looks like, I saw the previews of that movie, I'm like, she looks like a kid. You're like, she's a kid playing a porn star. I'm like, that looks weird. I don't like children in my porn, okay? I don't like that shit. I barely like kids at all, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, though, so I decided to watch The Whale. It's an A24 film. It's pretty cool. So I want to talk about it. Let's talk about The Whale. And I'm also not talking about your mom.
Got him!
We're talking about the movie. First of all, I want to say, let me read the Wikipedia description. Then I have one big major statement that I do want to say about my experience watching this movie. So from Wikipedia, the little plot summary of Wikipedia, The Whale is a 2022 American psychological drama film directed by Darren Aronofsky and written by Samuel D. Hunter based on his 2012 play of the same name. It stars Brendan Fraser, Sadie Sink, Hong Chow, Ty Simpkins, and Samantha Morton. In the film, a reclusive English teacher with morbid obesity tries to restore his relationship with his teenage daughter. So that's the movie. So, like I said, an English teacher with morbid obesity tries to restore his relationship with his daughter. So now this guy got so fat, he like literally was like days from dying. Like that's how you start. Well, the film actually started with Brendan Fraser jerking off to gay porn, basically having what is a stroke. That's also not a minor stroke. I remember I knew someone who I thought had a minor stroke. My dad. Turns out he had something way worse, and that was his death. But, morbid obesity will eventually kill you because he was jerking off. Could you imagine you jerk off one day and you have a heart attack and you learn that you're dying? Can you imagine learning that you're dying from jerking off? Usually you learn you're dying from a doctor, or sometimes it just happens. Like you get shot, that happens. It happens to the best of us. But no, so we're talking about he's like morbid obese and he starts dying from it. That's mainly the theme of this movie. So he thinks of like what he's doing in his last days. Basically, that's kind of like the idea of this film. It's like a man's about to die. He wants to restore his relationship with his teenage daughter. Doesn't have a lot of time to live. So stuff like that. If you're a fan of Cancel Schweezy and you've checked out more content from Cancel Schweezy, usually, I think My 600-Pound Life is a comedy. I've been known to believe that My 600-Pound Life is a comedy. Most people are like, you're laughing at this shit. I'm like, this dude fell down. It's kind of funny. But I also shelter myself into only watching the episodes that the people are horrible people too. And so it makes it okay. So it's just like, it's like yin and yang. You're like, you know what? Because a lot of times you feel bad for someone. And you're like, you don't want to feel bad for them. Like, that's the thing though. See these people who are like, whose health is like, who got so fat. And like, I'm probably at my work. I'm probably back up to where I was, and not in a good, I'm not in good shape, and I don't claim to be in good shape. And I know I need to lose some weight at this point in my life, but like for me to get fatter than this, I have to work for it. I think at this point, like, because I guess, it's like if someone's like, so I usually eat one meal a day, and it's like just around dinner time, and it's like this idea of like, and I go out to lunch, like someone's like, you want to get lunch? I'm like, do I want to get lunch? I'm like, and you like the social aspect of it, but you're like, I'm not gonna eat that much. So it's like my mom's birthday, like her sister came to town, and she's like, you can come too. I think other people were there as well for lunch, and I'm like, I got chips and queso at a Mexican restaurant. Like, it was all good. And they're like, you don't want anything else? I'm like, well, I know I got another meal today, so I gotta. And you would think I'd be in better shape, but I'm gonna tell y'all, alcohol, that shit is a lot of calories. If you want to feel good about yourself, it's like, do I want to feel good or do I want to look good? You see those people who like work really hard to look good. Like they don't have a lot of fun. Like, their fun is the reason why, they look, I don't know, shit like that. Anyways, though, was this movie funny? No, it was not funny. Even if you think fat people are funny, I don't think fat people are funny. I think bad people who are getting what they deserve is funny. And it's funny and shit like that. Anyways, so that's The Whale. We're going to get in more information I want to get into in The Whale. One scene in the movie. So most of you, if you're normal and not fucking autistic like me,
This is the type of guy you get.
You would understand, you would know, like, if you look at little background details and Easter eggs in movies, they tell you a lot about other things. Most people just fucking watch a movie. I like to look in the background for little details and little shit like that. It's what happens when you really like those Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies and shit like that. But I looked in the background, and they had one scene where Charlie's our main, that's Brendan Fraser. Fucking Brendan Fraser's the greatest. He basically is watching TV, and it's showing the Republican primaries for the 2016 election, like Marco Rubio, Trump, Ted Cruz, and shit like that. Like, that was all on there, and I'm like, okay, so this movie really wants me to know that this takes place spring 2016, which, he's a English professor in a college, so, and he's teaching classes during the show. So you'd probably assume it was in one of those times, like fall or spring, like usually that does not matter to most situations unless like you want fall to be a mood or whatever. But like they had that scene in the movie and shit like that. And I was like, okay, so I get it. And then the movie finished. I'm like, why did they reference the 2016 primaries as much as they did? Like, in the movie, I don't understand it. Maybe I'm just autistic. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything. Maybe I'm just looking into something that's not something that matters in the movie. It's just like, this movie takes place in 2016. I'm like, okay. They filmed it in 2020 and they filmed it in 2021, released it in 2020, late 2022. I'm like, and the movie has nothing to do with current events. So I don't know. I just don't know why they had a reason for that. But this movie has a lot of cool themes, and I want to get into themes of the movie and my at least thoughts on like the themes of the movie and stuff like that. So like, this is a very artsy movie. It was based off a play, and I think, when you think about plays and musicals, for those of you who don't know, I've been in one musical. Had a shit part, and I have played in the band for many, many other musicals, like a lot of good ones, and very proud of those. I hated the fucking sound guys, but it was a fun time. Set changes are very hard, so a lot of times when you think about like musicals and stuff, if you watch the Hamilton musical on Disney Plus, you notice that like the set changes, there's not really a set change. It's like the one whole thing the entire time. So plays and stuff like that want you to be there. So that's why I think one reason why this whole movie takes place inside of Charlie's apartment, because it was a play, and that's why. And also, it really has a lot of cool ideas just, as a movie, You don't watch a lot of movies where it's like that's the set. Like, that's all the set. Like, they recorded a couple other scenes, maybe like a beach and some other scenes, you know, that were needed to not be in Charlie's apartment. But that was really, really cool. They put it in 4:3, you know, and it's really cool as a I don't know. I hate saying like I'm a fan of film. I'm more of I like to watch movies. I hate saying I'm a film fan. I did take a film appreciation class in college, and it was like at 12:30 Tuesday, Thursday, and I had a friend's like, I don't know how you got into a film class that was like during like the day. Because like friends who did anything in film or anything, they were like, it's always at night. Like your classes are always at night. And like, I don't know how you got it during the day. Because it was gen ed. That's how it is. But yeah, I got a B in that class. Wrote about Annie Hall, which does not age well for me. The worst part is I was babysitting Josh's kid. We all know Josh, author of Track and Desire or Journey After Swallowtail Kites. I was babysitting his kids when I wrote that essay on Annie Hall. And it's like, I like Woody Allen movies, but like that Woody Allen is a rascal. Like he is really a rascal. Anyways, though, let's get into the themes of this movie. Themes that I think matter. The decline of your physical health in regards to your mental health is one thing I wrote down. So Charlie basically, he was always kind of a bigger guy, which I'm always, you know, I'm a koala. I always consider myself because I'm a bear, but I'm also a twink at the same time, and I'm not like a giant. And so it's like I'm the perfect gay man for many, 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 many different people. So yeah, you're declining physical health. So it's basically you learn in the film that, you know, Charlie was married and had a wife and everything. And, you know, he was a teacher. He was always a bigger guy. He met a guy who was, who opened of his students. And, you know, they had an appropriate relationship until the class was over. And then they started fucking and everything. And Charlie, like, left his family to be with this guy. But then so basically that guy ended up dying, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But that guy dying caused Charlie, his mental health really just damaged his physical health as well. So, you know, when you're, I know a lot of bigger guys. I said, I know. If you're like a bigger guy, you know that just because you're a bigger guy does not mean you're necessarily unhealthy. Like, you probably have some things. I think, I need to lose weight mainly because I probably have sleep apnea and I've not gotten a CPAP yet. And I should really get a CPAP. But it's kind of one of those things I'm just like, I just want to find someone giving one away, you know? It's a weird, I just get like a new mask, just don't be, use CPAP, new mask though. Like, it's a new mask. It's not weird. So, yeah, we talk about that. But, like, basically, when Charlie's boyfriend, husband, partner died, he got really depressed, and it caused him to become a fatso. And it's funny because, like, food can be an addiction like anything else. I could easily become a food person. Thank God I like alcohol and weed more than food. But also, the problem is, like, when I do the drugs I want, do the shit I want to do, I also want to eat. Dude, I could be fucking worse than I am. The fact that I said, like, hey, I only eat one meal a day, some people were like, that's alarming. But then I'm like, I also could become this fat. I'm like, maybe one meal a day is good for this guy. Like, oh, he's eating 2,500 calories in one meal, but then that's all he eats today, It's like, maybe that's not that bad. But, like, no, it's definitely, I think this is like a mental health thing. And people talk, I don't want to talk about mental health for a second. Your mental health very much ruins your physical health and stuff like that. I don't know, like, the best way to explain it in this podcast where we have to talk about other shit too. But, like, you think about, you're just so depressed. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm so depressed. I don't really want to shower. So you just don't shower, and then you get some weird, gross thing like fungus or whatever on your body, which we all do. Like, apparently you get, once you get old, it's just like you just have fungus on your toenails, and it's just like, it's part of life now. Just like and you're like, I get it. And, I'm not a foot fetish guy, so it doesn't really bother me. I'm like, We can just keep your feet in the air on my shoulders, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, I guess if, in all jokes aside, I want to say, like, your mental health very much does construct your physical health. Because, like, Charlie decided to be a food addict, and, like, they had a scene where he was, like, very bad. He really just chomped down on some food, and shit like that. Like, it was a pretty sad scene. Like I tell you, this movie's not funny. This is not a funny movie. If you look for fat people for comedy, this is not the movie for you. But like basically another theme of this movie, leaving a legacy. My band director in high school.
Oh no! Our table!
Our band director, my band director in high school, he always had like this idea of like leave a legacy, and like think about it. Mine is in the legacy I left for that high school was a lot of fucking nonsense, and so. Basically, I would say last year in the spring, I came back and, I was like, and I want to talk to the guitar player. I'm like, hey, is there still bird jokes written in all the music? And he's like, yeah, I'm like, every sheet of music. I'm like, because I wrote bird jokes because a bird died when I was in school. And there's one guy accused for killing it, even though he didn't even kill it. That was the best part. And he did not like the joke, so we kept bringing it up. It was a lot of fun. Leaving a legacy, and so it was basically Charlie wanting to leave an impact on Ellie's life, and it was really cool because she wrote an essay on Moby Dick when she was like a kid, whatever, and like that's the last thing he wanted to hear before he died, and so he would like keep it by his side, like I'm about to die, read it, and shit like that, very crazy, and stuff like that, and he just wanted to make his daughter good, which like I think her daughter is probably not a bad. She's a pretty shitty kid, but at the same time, it's like. The parenting shit was not good. The way they parented that kid was not good. I'll get into that in a bit. It also talks about religious trauma. So, like a missionary comes over, and that's the first scene. He's the one who catches Charlie jerking off to gay porn. Then it was like his first sign that he was about to die in like a week. Anyways, they talk about that. And so basically, some missionary, I didn't want to remember his name because I ended up not liking the character. But basically, Charlie's boyfriend, the one he left his family for, he was part of this cult called New Life. I guess it's kind of close to Mormon, but it's like New Life. It was like, oh yeah, the rapture's happening now. You're like I call it a rapture, but it's like that type of shit's happening now. The end of the world from the Bible is happening now, shit like that, and that's what he was talking about. And you learn that Charlie's former partner, boyfriend, husband type of shit. He was like very religious, but like he felt a connection with Charlie, and he had so much religious trauma that, because he can't be gay, whatever, these fucking things. And like he ended up not eating anything or whatever and became so skinny and then ended up unaliving himself. And that's what led Charlie to the spiral to begin with, become morbidly obese and shit like that. So religious trauma is very much a big thing. You have a missionary, and there's a whole other story for him that you can get into. But we have final questions. At the beginning of the film, they're like, Charlie, you need to go to the hospital to stay alive. And Charlie's like, I don't want to be in the debt. And then you learn he has like $120 million in his name or whatever. He wants to leave it to his daughter, so he's just like ready to die. And it's a pretty sad. But like at the beginning of it, Charlie could have gone to the hospital. He could have gone on a diet plan, and he probably could still be alive, and him and the mother could have like figured out shit. Like that whole situation was fucking stupid, the whole like leaving money to Ellie thing. It was just it was the fucking stupidest plotline ever. That part did not make any sense. He had like this friend who was like always helping, like his partner's sister was like basically his caretaker at this point, and she had money problems, and he's like, I'll help you pay for it. But he always gave her the impression that he was poor, whatever. He was not poor. He just spent all his money on food and his utilities, and it maybe like, I guess the internet counts for that. So it's pretty fucking crazy. Anyways, though, that's The Whale. The Whale, better known as your mom. And anyways, though, if you're able to watch it, you should. It's a pretty good movie. Hey there, you just checked out a highlight from Cancel Schweezy. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you learned something and that you are now a smarter individual. Just so you know, we have full episodes and other many highlights available now. Click here for the next best thing that you can go check out as well. And make sure you press that subscribe button and press that notification bell. That way you get updated anytime we make a new post or anytime that we make a new highlight or full episode. So thank you, honk if you love butt drugs, and stay awesome.